Definitely not going to make any jokes about the patch name. Nothing to laugh about, Achilles. Why'd you snicker?
It's you know, low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
So.
Well, we'll stay away from the fruit and whatever else 7-Eleven will bring us. See what I did there?
Yep.
We'll see what the bans are. As good old Zach will join the ban list because he's still broken.
What a surprise.
Galio making it through picks and bans has been something that we've had quite frequently, so the pick that would fit MVP very cleanly, probably in the mid lane most appropriately. One pick I have my eyes on that I could really see working for MVP is the mid lane Malzahar. Very high win rate in solo queue, but that's mostly from reliability, not necessarily the most skill shots or any kind of mechanics. But a pick comp was what MVP always did best, and Syndra was usually their pick, very frequently banned here in LCK Summer. I feel like Malzahar might be something they play around with, even though with the current change on 7-Eleven, it's not really as much of a flex pick. The mid lane has certainly got some tweaks, but the support seems like a straight-up nerf.
Well, Galio will be taken out, so not going to see that one come through for either side. We know that Faker has been playing that Galio quite a bit lately, and Syndra will be taken off the board here. Some respect being shown to Ian, who did have quite the record in the spring split.
Jungle pool's pretty open. Beyond could jump on anything of the second-tier nature. The second-tier junglers hasn't been winning a lot, though, Achilles, with all the frequent bans. So with the top 3 banned away, will we see jungle focus? We'll see MVP try and find comfort somewhere else. Maha jumping on the Caitlyn, back in the only Ezreal, Varus, spring meta with lots of Jhin and lethality. Caitlyn was the one non-lethality carry that was played, and Maha played it a lot. So don't mind that being selected with the first pick, as SKT draft very high priority on the Tahm Kench, a favorite of Wolf's, but actually taking it with Thresh available. Wolf clearly not wanting to jump on the Thresh, and also kind of a blocker pick to the engage supports that Max is known for, things like Blitzcrank and the Thresh.
Yeah, they also get rid of the Gragas, something that Beyond's been favoring out of the jungle for a bit, and they force him in onto the Graves, something that, you know, overall just doesn't have a great win record at the moment.
In Korea, Graves has been very frequently drafted with the top 3 junglers being banned so much, but at 23 picks already, it's at a 30% win rate, so very, very low. Really doesn't impact the early game, and given the increased pressure on Herald and pushing lanes, Graves can maybe cover for lanes that are being pushed in, but doesn't really provide much proactive play, and thus has been kind of a luxury too far. As Ian will get on comfort, but he has to draft it very early. Super high Orianna priority. You could understand Faker selecting it on red side and then banning away some tricky lane opponents. So if MVP was to take Orianna, that probably had to be the spot, but still going to be plenty of comfort left for SKT.
Yeah, speaking of that, it's going to be the Varus picked up here for Bang. Has been playing pretty much nothing but the Varus and Ashe. I believe 1 game of Caitlyn so far this split, so no real shock that Varus is open. He locks it in.
And in a long season, why not just stick with what's working if he's comfortable on it? Bang played so many Ezreal games back in spring season, and Varus seems to have fit that niche, with Ezreal falling off in both competitive play and solo queue, with all the changes to crit itemization. A lot of his build paths no longer being as rewarding.
So how long does it take for Blank to just start hating Varus like he does Ezreal?
I mean, Bang has been unenthused with his role in the past. I'm sure he'd love to jump on Jhin when his skin is released, as the 2016 World skins definitely.
Those recalls.
They are very cool. The Chrome Awards are definitely going to come out as well. Faker will probably continue not to use any skins, though. What a spoil sport. Bard is the second ban. Support bans seem so kind of filler bans against Max, who has been known for his very wide support pool, and they're also banning stuff that does well against Tahm Kench, but not banning away meta power picks. Like, there's no respect to Thresh with the Tahm Kench already selected. If you want to go for an engaged support, you mostly have your opportunities available to you. As, okay, we're seeing the Lucian hovered. We've seen Faker's Lucian in solo queue a lot, if you follow on Twitch, but not in competitive play. Against Orianna will be the matchup that Faker drafted Orianna into many times. This time he'll be jumping on the Lucian. I was always on Team Lucian in the Lucian-Orianna matchup.
I mean, there's an outside chance that the Lucian is for the top lane for Huni and the Gragas goes to the jungle.
It's fun how it's almost that double flex, but not with AD carry. As you say, with top lane, mid lane basically saying, well, you can't have Kennen because we'll run Lucian into it. That's the matchup that basically was innovated by Huni and also has been taken around the world, is the Lucian into Kennen top lane. ADD jumping on the Jarvan for the 3rd game in a row, and Max, who's since support brand bans recently as yesterday, in other teams, we will see Max actually going very lane focused with the brand trying to harass the Tahm Kench as much as possible.
Yeah, now see hover over the Cassiopeia coming through, so will be that top Lucian if they lock this in. No, I mean, maybe it's a top Cass. I don't know.
This is getting into dynamic Q territory when it comes to some of the drafts, and it will be the Cassiopeia. I saw Huni playing Cassiopeia top yesterday as well, so this is actually the sort of draft we have to sit there and wonder, is Faker on mid lane? Varus, that's probably the least likely of the flexes, but so much going on with this draft. We're going to have to wait till 20 seconds to have that confirmation.
Let's see how much they're going to flip it around for us. For now, Faker showing the Cassiopeia.
This feels like a dynamic Q game where everyone's like, let's play this. We'll work out the roles later.
Yeah, just trade with each other.
Whose role is it anyway? The whose league is it anyway?
All right, well, last couple seconds, do we see a swap? And the answer is going to be yes, Faker playing the Lucian in the mid lane.
So that was always the more likely because Lucian does well against Orianna, and Cassiopeia into Jarvan is ranged versus melee, and you can all-in trade. Also, you have a great answer to Flag and Drag and the Cataclysm with the Petrifying Gaze if used at the right time. So the solo Q picks are coming real, Achilles. Got a lot of fire being spit by SK Telecom T1. MVP, sure, they have the more tried and true composition, but SKT are playing with confidence in multiple roles, and they're looking to put on a show as well.
It's going to be one hell of a game here to start things off. I mean, on paper, wasn't that interested. You know, SKT versus MVP seems like, okay, it's going to be 2-0, but now we're going to have some flair to it. Faker bringing out the Lucian finally, and then Huni back over onto that Cassiopeia. Is looking to give ADD one hell of a time in that top lane.
I love it when they bring out the style points, Achilles. Max style points for SKT.
Yeah, they're going all out on this one, so let's go ahead, load onto the Rift for Game 1, MVP versus SKT. All right, here we go. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Gonna have some fans here in the audience.
It's Cloud Templar wave.
Artwork, yeah, for Cloud Templar. He will never live that down.
I think he's gonna bring it out once a year. It's like one of his, definitely one of the core bag for his bag of tricks. One of the core tricks there is his cosplay. Huni's on the top lane, Cassiopeia. We've known about this pick for years, Achilles.
Yeah.
Got the confidence from seeing it pulled out by Khan, and Koma gave him the all clear. He's got away with Lucian and Cassiopeia this season, so far cry from his Maokai and Poppy only days at the start of spring season.
I mean, maybe just, you know, 2 different clauses in his contract have been fulfilled now. Those were requirements at least once.
Just being a tank role player for the rest of summer.
Yep. Nothing but Maokai, even though he's not that great.
Let's be fair, the meta isn't really tanks, so he does have a bit more freedom. You don't have to have the arms race for the tank top laners to dive bot lane. Nautilus is a pick of the past, so with all those changes, you get to unleash Huni onto the LCK in this more carry role. Makes it fun for us, the viewers, so expectation that barring some very early jungle attention, Cassiopeia should have a lot of happiness in the top lane, wailing away on the Jarvan. Getting information on the pathing of the Graves could be important, but because it's Graves, there might be that slight lower priority.
It's going to be sitting in the brush here. Huni, are you going to go ahead?
Doing his best Faker impression.
Yeah, just going to start shoving him right out of this lane. Just twin fangs out the wazoo, chunking him down to about half HP. Takes a little bit from the minions, but still wins out.
Maple knows that feel. If you don't draw a lot of creep aggro, you heavily win trades. End result is the trades surprisingly even, but when he was tanking some minion aggro. Now he's level 2 though, so I don't know how this goes.
He's got the poison to go along with it. So he can really just fire away. You can see just how far back ADD has to play. Beyond is on this top side.
Doran's Shield has been introduced since that Maple game as well in its new form, so you do have access to a lot more regions. 7-11 doesn't have the changes. There is that early gank top lane.
Yeah, immediate flash away there from Huni. Doesn't have a ward, but keeps himself safe. But now going to be without that summoner spell, so could be in a bit of a rough spot. Beyond, looking for Peanut, finds him. There's the W there. Flag and Drag comes through. Huni still far forward. Can't get out of this one by the look of it. Slow up will come through from the roll of the barrel, but he still goes down. First blood over to Beyond.
Yeah, the coverage from Peanut just wasn't good enough in that regard, so the very quick wraparound gank actually pays off. Surprising that given that he had full information and flashed earlier, he was in that position. He knew that Peanut was coming. He wasn't there in time, and the end result isn't the biggest punishment because, of course, they can't push the minions into the turret to deny any CS, but it is first blood over to the side of MVP.
It's still just bizarre that Huni didn't immediately start peeling back as soon as they saw Beyond.
I think he got the call from his teammate that he was pathing around top and thought he could make something happen, but obviously, end result, hindsight 2020, paid up too far and was well punished by MVP.
Yeah, so TP down here from Huni. Recall will be coming through for ADD. So we'll be matching that as he comes back into the lane. But we'll both be flashless in the top side of the map. We'll see if Peanut can do anything to answer for that first blood that Huni suffered.
Just more regen, so more focus on lane
Maybe
stats
just
for
another
AD.
gank here. Beyond's just wrapping back around the drive
No
rush.
coverage here.
Yeah, it's still wide open.
When will Huni actually be tempted to return to the minion wave? I don't think he was actually spotted by the red ward on the red buff, but not 100% be sure. Just feeling it out. I mean, Huni has very good top laner sense in general. Even the best are caught by those early ganks, so we'll play respectful for now.
But, you know, good pathing by Beyond. Just going up there to help ADD. And alleviates a lot of pressure, something that he has not been able to do.
And top lane was the happiest pathing for Beyond, as Beyond and Peanut do meet in the jungle. Their meeting allows Huni to actually start trading, so important that Peanut got that information, but because he has lag and drag from level 2 in the top lane was by far his biggest gank priority for Beyond. Sure, there's a chance of EQ hitting from the Brand in laning phase, but difficult. It's blocked by minions, and Orianna pre-6, not a lane you want to gank for, so they made the smart moves. Peanut wasn't as fast, and it's clear, so couldn't path for the defense, and so far game plan from MVP, pretty solid.
Yeah. Just throwing down that ward there. Backside of the Raptor pit. Trying to keep track of Peanut for the moment. You see Huni catching back up in CS, so knowing that the enemy junglers on the bottom side of the map is really helping him out quite a bit.
We get to see Faker on Lucian. Just like a lot of the other myths or tall tales around Faker, people who had information about his Lucian in scrims was talking mad game about how good it was, but we never got to see it in competitive scene till today. Again, a lot of his Twitch viewers, see, he played it very frequently on stream. A lot of Lucian and LeBlanc on his stream, so that is usually a preview. Ever since the Barcode Killer played a lot of Riven in solo queue at Season 3 Worlds, people have come to understand that Faker's playing in solo queue. He's just biding his time to play it in competitive as well.
I want that Riven back.
Undefeated.
That's my wish, is to see the Riven.
Well, if it's played in the summer final, it will be 2 years since it was last played, 2015 summer against Nagne, now of NIP.
A nice little anniversary gift for us as the viewers.
Now I know what to get for your anniversary.
Let's go talk to Faker. Tell him, yeah.
Let's come play a solo queue game against you. He'll play Riven.
Please no. Usually whenever I play against Riven in solo queue, it feels like it might as well be Faker. That's going to be Cataclysm coming down in on
Nice
Huni.
dodge.
He's already quite low. Takes quite a bit. Body slam forward with the flash. Peanut tries to find the kill, can't get it. And Beyond scoops up Huni yet again.
And because Beyond has been able to get those ganks off and manage it and complement it with farm, he was level 6, had the advantage. Smiling on your screen is Beyond. We have not seen a lot of MVP members smiling so often. Forlorn looks on their faces after defeats. But Huni, with about 30 seconds left on his flash, is caught once again. And the end result is the pressure there. I love the sidestep from ADD. Did have the respect on the petrifying gaze. Knew to pick away. So the lane-focused last pick from Huni that we remember we have seen, but it did lose for the side of Longzhu against Huni. It's not going well in the early game. That's clear.
Yeah, rough stuff here for him. No stacks on the Dark Seal, just has the tier, so not a lot of power behind this Cassiopeia, and it's going to be quite a while before he's really going to see any.
No combat stats, face values, and the short cooldown on E means that Cassiopeia is one of the few champions who can get away with such a defensive or at least utility-based build. AD does have Phage, so basically every time Beyond is feeling frisky, go up top, blow the flash, and then you have 4.5-minute window to do a lot of work in the top lane. And then in teamfights, the reliability of the Jarvan is going to be pretty simple. He's the ultimate ball carrier for the Orianna.
Yeah. A lot of potential here for MVP as we keep moving on. And at the moment, it's going to be 8 minutes on the clock. 1.4 thousand gold in the lead.
And in a different game, if you had done, neither of those deaths had happened or one of them would have happened, ADD, who went double laning items, would probably have had to go Hexdrinker and kind of slowed down his build, but he's able to go Phage, which is so much more important here because the magic damage is almost purely Cassiopeia, a little bit from the Gragas who'll go Runic Echo, but it is a Lucian mid and bang on the Varus as well.
Oh, here we go. Another repeat gank coming through. Flashes there from Huni. Throws out the Petrifying Gaze. Not going to get a lock up. Flag and drag comes through. And Beyond just finds the third kill.
And ADD clean on the Jarvan after 2 losses last time.
Abyssal Voyage now coming through. Peanut down to the bottom lane. TP coming out here from ADD. Trying to join in the fray. Lockup's coming down. Built over Peacemaker. Ripping through Peanut's HP bar. The Devour is there from Wolf to try to keep him alive.
Dies in the belly.
But he's just going to die inside Tom Kench. Faker just now arriving. Can they turn it around is going to be the question. As ADD does get slowed up. Trying to find a pick, but they just can't do it. The damage starts coming through. Huni back over to the top lane where the turret was almost taken for first brick, and good God, MVP up 5-0 over SK Telecom.
And everyone watching this game can see what it means for the game and the lead for MVP, but what it means for the season is so much bigger.
Shockwave lands, flashes away from the flag and drag, keeps himself safe, dashing forward. Tries to get a little bit more damage down onto ADD, but he is still just not under threat of dying.
And we were looking for the slivering of optimism for MVP season, and will it only be 10 minutes of great play? Will it be a game 1 victory? Will it be a series? We don't have that information yet, but SKT were pressured into making a very big play bot lane when teleport is available, and Tom Kench and the Gragas take so much free damage. The top teams, KT last season and now SKT this season, have been known to disrespect level 6 brand, and in general we remember Max carrying versus KT Rolster last season by Brand just getting multiple rotations of his ultimate bouncing on champions. They disrespected again, they turned it around. And MVP have handedly beat SKT for at least 10 minutes, which given their 6-game loss streak and their season is something pretty big.
I really like this line of wards just going through each brush in the top lane. Just consistently trying to keep track of Huni if he's just sitting there silently waiting for the wave to push up. They could still get that wraparound through the tri-barrage.
ADD has been super clean on the Jarvan. His ability to engage with ultimate, hit every flag and drag afterwards, able to turn around. He's 5-0, and like I said, doesn't have to build Hexdrinker. Is building for team fight. He's going to have a very quick Tiamat into Black Cleaver with how well the early game has gone from him. Doesn't have to worry about magic resist. Can probably go Ninja Tabi and go basically no magic resist against Cassiopeia, one of the strongest lanes in the game. And that lets you know that the Cassiopeia pick has failed because it's supposed to force him to build for lane.
Well, turret going low, Beyond in the vicinity. Rugs aren't there, so it looks like they might just try to force this up and take the turret. Waves moving in, and Huni, the wave clear, just not going to be very strong, so he has to go ahead and concede this over. So the gold lead just going to stretch that much further here for MVP. 4,000 gold over SK Telecom in just 11.5 minutes.
And viewers might ask, why things like Cassiopeia? Why are we going lane focus? Just Huni just having a bit of a laugh? And the reason why is that top side of the map is so much stronger in the 2017 summer season than it has been in history, I would argue, with the introduction of Rift Herald. So if you play around winning lanes like you expect Cassiopeia into Jarvan to be, get kills, get pressure, hey, guess what? You get Rift Herald, you roam into other lanes that might not be doing great, and you take those as well. But in this case, the lane that was actually picked into is losing. The Cassiopeia into Jarvan is losing. So to get Jarvan winning and also picked up the Rift Herald is an insane advantage for MVP that was not reflected in the pick and ban, and it goes against SKT's philosophy. Yep, they even have to respect just Ian.
Yeah, they're just getting forced back. Ian walks forward, throws down the ball. They're going to come back in.
It's not over yet.
This. It's a little bit of HP back, but now Max starting to poke forward. Throws out that Q, won't find it a hit. As Beyond starts,
he's going to stick the Rift Herald mid lane right now.
Yeah, he's just going to go ahead and throw it down. They have the cutoff coming through. ADD is here, and he's just gating them out, or containing them in the jungle out of the mid lane.
Yeah, Boom Shakalaka here from the Rift Herald just walks in. Casually does all the health. As you say, ADD,
this could be 2 turrets.
It's going to be at least 1. Lucian is looking for help. Huni's not going to rotate, doesn't have teleport either.
Charge comes through, Rift Herald down to about half. Baker trying to get rid of it as quickly as he can. The wave clear from Peanut is significant, but still 1.5 turrets over to MVP 2-0 in that fashion, 5-0 on the scoreboard, and just a massive gold lead for them.
And if I was a judge, for the Rift Herald competition, which it is, every team is learning how to use the Rift Herald. There's a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10 being shown on my judge card. Really well used, and ADD also being in position to cut anyone trying to stop him going down. Now Lucian's turret is down. Lucian picks the pressure lane into Orianna. Cassiopeia's turret down as well. SKT, they could still win this game. That is just how good a team they are. But MVP have done everything possible. It's one of the cleanest early games we've had out of any team in the league, and it's by, of all teams, MVP.
Yeah. ADD and beyond have been playing so well. 3-0-0 on that Graves. And like I said, this is the pressure that Beyond hasn't been able to show in the game so far this split, but this is getting back to spring, back to summer Beyond, where he was a superstar for the squad.
And it feels like a click of the fingers, because it's almost like he's changed his mindset. The champion is not necessarily one that celebrates proactivity, but Graves Jarvan as a duo can have proactive plays. He's been proactive, he's been all around the map, he's positioned very, very well, he's hit all his skill shots, as is ADD as well, and to add insult and injury, they even pick up the Ocean Drake that should have been free for SKT 3-4 minutes ago.
Such a rough spot to be in.
Huni needs to pull a rabbit out of a hat. He's against double, no magic resist being built at all from ADD. He's the same level, which is something. I'm not saying that he can just easily solo, but someone needs to be a match winner on the side of SKT as Wolf decides him.
Well, Ian's going to flash over the wall. Abyssal Voyage comes through, but he's going to stay safe. Both summoners down on the Orianna, but still a kill going to be eluding SKT.
Now SKT.
So very bizarre.
Very much want to slip into SKT from behind strategy, which is warding smartly, playing respectfully, and just farming. The farm numbers, they're good, across all lanes. That's the reason why the gold lead is only just over 4,000. Could easily be 7 or something at this point. CS not been denied. Pushing lanes also will often give some CS even to the losing team. There's still good scaling from the side of SKT, even if their primary game plan for the early game has failed.
Red buff takeaway comes through. Ian over the wall there to protect them, has that shockwave available. MVP should be able to exit this jungle safely.
Let's go back. Group. Late game, you have to favor the side of MVP. Not necessarily in a landslide, but Orianna having a true initiator and a ball carrier that's perfect. Graves, fantastic team fighter in the late game as well. It's not by a lot, but unless Tom Kench can heavily outvalue Brand, which is possible, don't get me wrong, then you have to like MVP, especially with Brand doing well, getting his gold generation item very early. There is the chance that he is just the backup AP carry, like Zyra often can be.
Yeah. Not going for the sword
flash,
but that's going to be shockwave in onto Faker. Pulls him out, but the culling comes down, and can they finally do it? Yes, they do. SKT puts a kill on the board.
Important for SKT, bit of a steadier. Visiting the lane that didn't have flash. Nice roam from Wolf, as the vision for MVP is not big on the bottom side. They've largely played around the top side with the repeated ganks, so Wolf able to just amble his way over. MVP need to reset. They need to focus on their vision game here, as SKT shouldn't have the space to make plays like they did. They should be strangled. Control wards should be sticking because they've lost every engage of the first 15 minutes. But the first one post 15 minutes goes the way of SKT, and 2 more of those, and all the great work from MVP will start falling apart.
Huni now having vision on Beyond, feeling free to go ahead and start pushing up, chunking down ADD. You can see on the bar, has him down to about half HP. All that pressure in the mid lane that's being drawn out, everyone rotating up to that side. This opens up the bottom tier 1 turret. Take quite a bit of damage here from Bang.
Beyond is level 11, has plenty of AD, so he can cover lanes solo by himself. Faker will be going into the very, very standard mid lane build of Blade the Ruin King and Phage. The patch notes actually for 7.12 actually give a bit of insight into one of the hidden reasons why this build is so good. On paper, it's very simple. 2-item power spike, you're shredding for your team. Culling applies the Black Cleaver, we all know that part. But the kind of hidden interaction is that Blade the Ruin King actually procs a Black Cleaver stack itself. So an auto attack is 2 procs. So you Q, you get the double hits from the passive, and you instantly have full stacks of Blade the Ruin King. So that's just an interaction that will be changed in the future. But it's full power for 7-11, which could actually be the patch in Korea for multiple weeks, not just one, given that we haven't patched into 7.13 yet on the live client. So that lets you know that this 2-item build that has always been the staple is even more efficient than it appears on paper, given that hidden interaction. There's a lot of power for SKT, given their double AD comp in just a few moments' time.
Well, all the outer turrets now taken here for MVP as they maintain this lead. Hasn't really grown that much in the last couple minutes since we saw Faker pick up that first kill. But it hasn't really been shrinking either. But MVP need to remain proactive if they want to come up with a victory.
And that's not a one-man. It's not just AD saying, I'm going to push up this minion wave. I'm being proactive. Where did they get their advantage? Remember, it was ADD and Beyond. It's so often in competitive league, the duos that make those plays, as AD at least goes and interrupts the back. That was a good play.
Gets both of them, actually.
Grouping with Beyond, grouping with Max, getting the vision and canceling out things like the double control ward that SKT have held around their blue buff area is what MVP need to do. Keep that foot on the accelerator. Such a great start to the game. As well, everyone's mid lane.
Yeah, trying to get the pinch in here onto Faker. Uses the dash, so now he's in a rough spot. Has to flash over the wall. Flag and Drag won't connect. Goes at the culling. Dashes right back away from the shockwave. Nicely done by him.
Faker was so good as well. He even baited out the flag placement that meant that when he flashed, there was no way for the EQ to hit him. Very, very clean from Faker, as expected. Has kind of had to deal with his lanes losing around him, but he has gone free farm in the mid lane. And maybe he just has to put his team on his back. He doesn't need it to so much with so many cooks in the kitchen this season, but are you ready for the Faker show? Because we might be getting it.
Yeah, I mean, you were right when you said this is a little bit like a flex queue game. Faker's just like, oh, I have to carry everybody.
Typical top laner 0-3-0.
How did I get placed with these diamond players?
Well, it is their sub-top laner after all. Oh, the jokes we can make.
Oh, dear. Looking for a pinch maybe on the ADD, but still has the flash, flag and drag.
There will be fans who think that we
distance.
dislike Huni in real life now. Even though Huni's a good friend of mine. Bit of smack talk never hurt anyone, guys.
Talk to him every time we see him.
He's great. I talked to him earlier today. But the storyline's just damn funny. Still, things are steady, and that's already win SKT. It feels like, how many games have we seen where they lost the early game, and then you're like, where's the gold lead? Why isn't it growing? Why is it getting smaller?
You know, this
still comfortable.
This play from MVP actually kind of reminds me of Summer Split.
Speaking of MVP,
KT rolls through, but shockwave thrown down here by Ian as he tries to get out, but the cask perfectly knocks him back in. Devours there from Wolf as he spits him out, and Faker scoops up his second kill.
And you have to ask, what are MVP doing in the interim? The top lane hasn't been pushed out yet. Drake was spawning, so an objective was being contested in the future in this area of the map. 3 members are kind of chilling mid lane, swapping stories about how great the early game went against SKT, and not actually achieving anything. So Ian is caught, uses both his summoners again, while Huni is actually getting pressure in the bot lane. It's coming apart at the seams for MVP in a pretty big way. We're going to see this turret go down very shortly, and the gold lead is only going to be about 2,500.
Yeah. So getting cut almost in half. On the side of MVP. So.
Where is the blue vision? What does MVP control? Because in the early game, when you're ganking every lane, when there's not a lot of vision because no one's roaming, MVP controlled everything. People were scared of the Graves wherever he positioned. But suddenly, it gets to mid-game. It gets to 15 to 20 minutes, and you're like, okay, well, the control wards often tell you what they control. And, well, there's none on the map. Maybe one on Graves' model. It says 2 in the bot lane. So they have some control over the bot lane when they already lost the turret. It's a pretty low value in those double control wards. There's one to the left side, the entrance towards the red base, but there's nothing pushed up, even though they got 9/10 of a turret in mid lane. They haven't been able to push vision with their early Rift Herald play. At this point, there should be a lot of green wards or sight wards littering at least one side of the blue or red side jungle of SKT. They've never been able to revisit that. They don't actually have strength advanced of the mid lane. Only now are they putting that vision down, and already that gold lead, like we say, is closing.
Yeah, it's dwindling here. As SKT keeps clawing their way back in. MVP at the moment, though, looking to force up into the mid lane where they already significantly weakened his turrets. They will be able to take this out. 4-1 in that regard.
SKT
Get a
will
little
get
bit
a
of
trade.
gold back, but yeah, Faker is up here. He's poised in top lane with the minion wave. He's worried about getting collapsed on, so we'll start cutting back into the jungle.
It's a pretty insane wave. It might actually just take down the turret itself.
And yeah, might be able to do it.
See the HP there. It's falling low. Orianna rotating over. Not quite going to get it. But a lot of damage. That is standing gold for sure. Soon will go the way of SKT. And now that they've drawn Orianna, let's continue to push out mid lane. And what you should take away from this is that while SKT aren't deciding things, they are inviting trades, which shouldn't have been possible with the lead. And in general, MVP is only just trading up, and sometimes, at least in terms of minions, trading down compared to where SKT is going, which should not be the way with how great MVP's early game was.
So, I mean, one of the big things we were talking about was the lack of macro. It seemed like maybe finally MVP had kind of figured it out, but it's starting to fall off.
And we say a lot of things like this. Defisha and I take pot shots at MVP. We say lack of macro, and macro is such an all-encompassing term that sometimes it feels like it's just an easy crutch word to say, like, oh, they got bad macro. What does that mean? And I feel like this game, I'm trying to point out what it means, because all the areas where MVP could have been trading up, forcing bad decisions, getting vision down, and then making aggressive plays, we saw them all. They were very clear to the viewer to see, but it's just so many gaps, so many things where they made the wrong decision or weren't proactive enough that really altogether encompasses this umbrella term of bad macro, because they need to be earning more with their lead. Otherwise, the lead didn't matter.
Well, top lane turret finally going down mid. Very much under threat here for MVP. As SKT gets closer and closer to tying up that gold.
And if I asked you how they tied up the gold, what would you tell me? That's the thing. It's like, you know, you've obviously been watching this game as well. What did SKT do to earn gold and get back into the game? It's not like there was a huge fight that they won. Those people remember those.
They took some turrets.
They took some turrets. You know, they kind of just did normal things and got a big lead or got a big...
Okay.
This is the MVP Baron. We've seen this before.
Yeah, I mean, the Scuttle Grab just expiring. MVP will pull off of this one. Not going to go for the 50-50 like they so often opt in for.
Bjorn said in an interview he loves the rush of blood from contesting for Barons. They often opt into the 50-50s.
Oh,
This
Cataclysm comes down, finds 3 members. Wolf gets an Devour in on a bank, keeping him safe, and Faker still hasn't taken much. In fact, it's just up trading the damage onto ADD. He flashes away. Damage coming out from Peanut. Piercing arrow comes through. He goes low, takes the blast cone over the wall to safety. Looks like he will get out with his life, but Abyssal Voyage actually coming in on the backside. Flashboard gets the tongue lash as they will take him down. Flag and drag away. Blast cone's not there, should just be one more smack. Slows him up yet again with the tongue, goes back forward, but just hands the kill over to Faker.
And this is all with Huni, not even interested in the fight. ADD solo engages because Huni was out of position. No one was even in screens over. This is the sort of thing where people say, I engage, where was the backup? The backup couldn't get to the fight by the time it was free DPS down by 4 people. So they lose a member and they lose the bot lane inner turret.
And now the gold's just evened up just like that.
This is definitely like the stages of grief being engaged in a League of Legends game. We started off with happiness, to be clear.
Yeah.
That's not even stage of grief, but I think the grief stage is starting to come, Achilles.
This really is like KT and their big dip that they had in spring, where it was just like really good early game, always in the lead, and then it slips through their hands.
I guess the only difference, I think it's a really good analogy, the only difference would be that KT would be doing something crazy Rambo and die, right? That's not even what happened here. They just kind of chilled.
They would have kept on that Baron.
They would have kept on the Baron, or they would have, like, Score would have died contesting Krugs for some reason. Instead, this was just, well, the game kind of seemed to enter a lull, and SKT got some free objectives. Like, it wasn't like MVP overforced in this game, as Faker doesn't give any cares about MVP.
Nope, he's just going to toss out the culling. Gets a little bit of damage. Chain of Corruption. Very close to connecting. Will not find it, however. 2 ultimates tossed out, but they will be sending Beyond back to the base as they just maintain pressure in the mid and soon to be bottom lanes. ADD starting to bring that one back up, but who needs there to test?
My favorite thing about this game is that, let's assume SKT win, which at this point is looking likely. If you're a team that's VOD reviewing for one of your matches, I'm not talking about MVP or SKT's coaches, I'm talking about, let's say, someone in a different league, you could actually look to MVP's play to a certain point and learn from it, even if they go on to squanderly. They played the early game so well, so textbook. They deserve all the plaudits for the early game. So they still have done something in this game for a passage, which is very, very good and something to learn from. But then there was that moment, that click where it all changed. As now Faker's just chilling in inner turrets, I guess.
Yep. Maybe trying to take this one out. Goes low, flashes away from the shockwave. So maybe overstepping his boundaries a little bit, but playing with fire as per usual. Gets himself out safely.
Beyond soloed another Cloud Drake down. Sorry, another Ocean Drake down. Which not going to be of massive value, but at least Faker wasn't able to trade it for an inner turret, so it's something for the side of MVP. Every bonus they can get now they're behind in gold is something they'll take, and Baron is so often their playground. It still is potentially something that can re-get them a lead, but remember they were deciding everything, and now they're hoping against hope for a Baron, which...
Remember that Huni's in the bottom lane, so if you start that up, you might just be knocking down an inhib, and SKT already showed that they're comfortable with a 4v5.
Starting to walk up. No control. Now in their own side of the jungle. We were kind of criticizing them for not having advanced vision, and now they don't have defensive vision. Game has changed, and now advanced vision will be a waste, given that MVP don't feel like they're strong enough to be looking for picks around the enemy side of the jungle. Game being almost exclusively played around the control wards, which are still there. And now SKT are looking to duo Baron.
Yeah, I mean, AV's down at the bottom.
They need to respond fast.
He does have a TP
really
that he can
fast.
throw out.
They need to get that now.
He's down about half HP. Nobody's in there. The ping's starting to come out. Yeah, the scrying
They've already lost it.
Comes through, but the Baron will just go over. Can they get some exit kills? Is going to be the question. 80 arrives, so down the Cataclysm, locks into it. Huni goes low right off the bat as the Shockwave connects. Power comes through from Wolf. He tries to keep him alive. Flash away from the Cassiopeia into the Tribe Rush. Gets body blocked from the Ace in the hole. They trade one back. 80 goes down. They lose Wolf 1-for-1, but Baron to SKT.
And SKT will be happy they didn't lose the buff on Huni in particular, given that he has teleport, can still play in side lanes. Good decision from SKT to rush down the Baron. MVP far too slow at understanding what could happen. I didn't see the blue trinket cooldown, but I'll assume it was up and not used. Can't see it here either. SKT make the right call to finish. You know, teams can definitely, MVP's one of them, make bad decisions when it comes to closing the Baron, but MVP was never going to react in time. Two-man Petrifying Gaze and disengage means it's only one death. Could certainly have been two if they were able to focus down members earlier, but traded 1-for-1. Baron picked up for SKT. Weird game where if you had watched for the first 10 minutes and turned it off, had to go to school, had to pop a bagel and get to work, be surprised to come back and find out that MVP is looking very, very unlikely to be winning game one.
Yeah. And I mean, even so, I mean, the thing that we said coming into this, we didn't expect the early game to go as well as it did, but we did say that MVP have to look competitive, and they did for those first, 10 some odd minutes. But is that good enough to say that this is really an improvement because they just let everything fall out of their hands?
I think absolutely it is. I think you can hold your head high about a passage of play for MVP, and even though they won 2 games against Jin Air, that was very early in the season, it was a rough series. They played super well against SK Telecom T1 for a passage of the game. So at least there's something to build on. You can say, well, our early game got a lot better. Let's build on that rather than just everything is not working, all our picks are not working. This was really good from MVP. So you're right, it is scattered emotions where there probably will be some frustration, but at least there was elation about something. And given MVP's run recently of 6 losses in a row, not always to the strongest teams, Ever 8 was included in that 6 games. And again, MVP's schedule actually gets way easier after this series because they've just played Samsung, KT, and SKT, the other 3 teams going to Rift Rivals in a row.
MVP posturing forward, trying to hold on to this inner turret in the top lane. In the meantime, Huni, he's just going to be running his Baron-empowered minions straight into that inhib turret. We'll be able to get there in time to stop this from going down by the look of it, but he still will get quite a bit of damage in. And Faker, well, he's just going to solo down that mid inner, get that last one taken away. Cataclysm coming down in onto Huni, trying to fire off all the damage. Pistol Voyage comes through from Wolf there to back him up with the Devourer and keep him alive.
Huni didn't even use the Seraph Shield, has that available. No Zonias yet, but coming soon. And SKT, I see multiple members bot lane.
Yep.
Easy free inner turret in the top lane. Looking to close the game during this Baron buff push, but for now, respectful of a turn from MVP.
Yep, the 2-1-2, helping get those turrets. Now just swapping things up a little bit is Huni alone yet again in that bottom lane, just trying to finish off that turret. Takes a little bit of damage from beyond, but he's He's got plenty of life steal to keep himself sustained.
Nothing approaching a team fight at this phase in the game. 6-item team fights would have been a way for MVP to again have a big lead. They shouldn't have needed those given how the early game went. Bot lane, Huni's engaged on again.
Yeah, it doesn't have the flash. It was pretty low. Ace in the hole comes down. That's still going to be okay. Max Culling coming through. Dangerously low, throws out the cast, knocks him into the wall, and it's actually going to be the proc off the jungle item that takes him down. Piercing arrow not finding Beyond, and he jumps back with a collateral damage to keep himself alive. Barely so, and SKT might just have to get out of this base. We'll see how long they want to stick around for.
I don't think I've ever seen someone die to a Runic Echo proc, but it was actually what picked up the kill, like you say, onto Max, who didn't get burned because of the shield coming through from Orianna. SKT 3 in the mid lane, Cassiopeia waiting for the minion wave to come in bot lane, trying to break the base in as many ways as possible. For now, going to pull back from mid lane, so not trying to divide and conquer too much, as Faker didn't get the memo.
No, he's just still sticking around.
He's got Wolf there, he's fine.
I'll just open up this inhib for the taking later. Couldn't quite finish off that bot inhib turret though for Huni, so the pressure at least stopped that from going down. But MVP are just
watch Faker here is well, no one has ever questioned how big of a man Faker is. Doesn't need to be Syndra to talk about his spheres as he goes in, turns on to multiple people, almost gets a double kill. And watch this, a Runic Echo kill came in just a second ago. That was cool.
Well, MVP gonna be trying to get this Infernal. Ward comes over the wall, it goes low, not gonna be able to get the takeaway there. That would have been a pretty crazy one by Faker. Seal with a W.
Ardently blazed.
Just all like 70 damage that it does.
It's longer range than an auto attack, so I guess that's why he did it.
Seal away the dragon with just the tip.
Of the Ardent Blaze?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen Ardent Blaze kill someone, and this game I saw my first Runic Echo kill, so we're seeing new things at least. Draft was crazy. Cassiopeia well held in the laning phase, but now is just a split push monster, understandably. Definitely a game where you can feel great about the adaptive helm if you're Jarvan, just trying to not die to the 100,000 Twin Fangs. Huni might still win out on damage dealt this game from just Twin Fanging a million times into the Jarvan during laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of those ones where Huni beats out the likes of Bang with the Varus.
Or Faker on the Lucian.
I think Faker's probably done more damage than the Varus, but you never know. Sometimes it's pretty deceptive. ADD, flag and drag with Faker. Just trying to tag him.
When your flash is up as Lucian at level 18 after all the buffs to animations, you really do not have to respect gap close very much. Feeling super confident to skirt in and out of fights, given how short the cooldown will be on the Relentless Pursuit. Now just SKT doing their standard play, pushing 3 lanes, waiting for multiple members to show in 1 lane, and trying to take out a turret. When you're respecting ADD enough not to walk up and auto-attack the turret once, it would take it down.
Should be able to get it here as ADD's attention is being drawn toward this top side of the map where Inhib is under threat of falling. Faker's still sitting around in that mid lane. 3-1-1.
Team fight would end the game, so that's why Huni started to walk up, but he didn't have a minion wave, so it wasn't a huge rush to approach the turret.
It still hasn't knocked down that.
And SKT say, well, MVP haven't gone anywhere near Baron in a while, let's take Baron.
Yeah, spawning down 3 seconds.
Lucian's not there, so this won't be as fast a rush as possible, and does allow MVP to walk up. Kind of split attention here from SKT. Faker just more focused on his blue than necessarily just looking for a pick around the objective.
Well, it seems like they're not going to be fully committing in yet. So SKT will go ahead and peel off that one. So not making any rash decisions. The recall's coming through. MVP, do they try to rush this?
With where they're at in the game, taking a roll of the dice is probably preferential to just randomly losing the game to a bit of poke in 3 different lanes. So definitely be something you could respect, even if it probably wouldn't be effective. Purchases come in. Everyone's pretty decked on the side of SKT. We haven't really said Maha's name all game. Just kind of farmed, and game was decided around him.
Yeah.
He was the Faker.
He loaded in.
I mean, Faker had nothing much going on in the early game while the rest of his lanes were having trouble.
Yeah, and then he finally got the kill.
And then Maha kind of just never really got going, just farmed.
Well, SKT pushing back in. No Baron, still they're just going to force up the base. Take down yet another inhib turret. All of them now going to be falling. As Huni still remains in the bottom side of the map, trying to get that inhib down. Took down to about half HP. But now, do they go for the Baron?
Showing so much respect here, SK Telecom T1. Orianna has started to hit that point where she can get scary. Doesn't have a Void stuff, but the magic resist isn't massive on the side of SKT. Just some Hex Drinkers and no magic mantles. So showing due respect to the Ori and the potential for team fight. Someone could be deleted very fast. If they had this information, they might be a bit more hasty given how much gold MVP is sitting on.
Faker's gold lead over Ian right now.
Well, the worrying thing is that SKT's up 10,000 and MVP actually have 8,000 in the inventory. So it's an even bigger lead.
Well,
probably about 12 or 13.
Start up in onto the Baron. TP coming through here from Huni.
I've seen this movie before, Achilles.
Baron going low. Can Peanut go and still goes to the pit. Takes it right away, right out of the grasp of MVP. That might have just been their hopes being shut out for this game. Faker coming up with a triple kill. Looking for a bit more beyond. Goes over the back side of the wall, but the rest of the squad, it's just going to be Wolf and Peanut finishing off this Graves. They're looking for the win. 38.5 minutes, just about there on the clock. As they will push in the base, they will finish us off.
And we finally got the League of Legends random sampler killers. Everything happened in this game. SKT fell behind. MVP played a super great early game, then kind of had the game go prototypically SKT. They got control. We even ended with a Baron steal. Of course we had to have a Baron steal. It's an MVP game. We got everything, so you have to smile. Everyone got a bit of what they're looking for in competitive League of Legends, and just like that script, we didn't need to read the last page, because SKT, they always win.
That they do. Rough start at the beginning of that one, especially for Huni in the top lane. And even Peanut not really able to find any ins to get something on the board for the squad. But they do come up with a victory in the end.
I wish I could understand. I wish I could be in Koma's head right now to see how much elation and rage he was feeling at the same time. It would definitely be 100% of both.
I think want to high-five somebody while you're face-palming simultaneously.
The sliders for rage and also elation at 100. Like, it shouldn't be possible. It's supposed to be 50-50, but that's not how it went in this particular game. Also, the MVP coach has to unwind what happened this game.
Everybody's got to just cool off, so these next couple minutes, as we get ready to go into a commercial break, will be much needed from either side. But what happens with SKT? Will they come back? Will they still play Huni and Peanut? Because it was a little bit rough. Do they want to give some more playtime to Untara, perhaps?
Here's what I'll say. If they were running Untara and Blank, the early game would not have gone the way it did in this game. Does that mean change? Does that mean adaptation? Would the game have gone the same way as went on? I don't have the answer to that, but this was kind of a quintessential Huni and Peanut game when things are not going their way.
We'll see if any alterations to the roster are going to happen. And we'll see if MVP can pull out some of those, bizarre picks that we've been expected to see from them. We'll get a nice little replay over that steal.
Oh, that had to be a Baron steal.
Yep.
It's an MVP game. It's only one level between Peanut and Beyond, so that definitely could have been the claim from Beyond, who
look at Faker's damage.
Who has been on the other end of those trades. Faker's Lucian gets its debut. Somehow it's not the most notable thing from this game. There's about 8 other things that people remember from this game, but SKT do win.
He went like 6-0 at the end of that, so it was a nice debut on the Lucian in competitive League of Legends. Maybe we'll see some more of that as we get ready for game number 2. Something that has to be feared from the side of MVP. Maybe not so much the top Cassiopeia from Huni. They were able to walk all over that, but that was just smart decisions by great play by ADD, smart pathing by Beyond to come up with those leads and set MVP up for that first, 12 some odd minutes. But we will be going to commercial break, so don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We're closing out this series, perhaps with game number 2 in just a few.